and gentlemen.
Shock on the beats. Shock on the beats. Shock on the beats. Shock on the beats.
Another beauty here in New York City. It is sunny for the second day in a row. They are telling us these temperatures are unlike what it should be around this time. And the countdown for Genzilla continues. So as the fall season approaches us and we get into the cooler months, which I cannot wait for. I just cannot stand being in this heat. As far as New York City heat, I mean, New York heat is very humid. It's not like down south where it's like a drier heat in a lot of states. Now, you guys know that these cars excel in the fall and the winter from the videos that I've done in the past. And I'm sure most of you just know that. You know, let's just talk about the throttle response on this Daytona 392 as it stands. No pedal commander, nothing like that. Just what you get stock from Dodge when the car is shipped to you. It is very responsive, especially when you get up into track mode. You know, you'll definitely get a more aggressive, sharp, razor sharp throttle response when you get into those modes, and even sport. But you know, when a person is coming from a car, let's just say maybe like let's just say Miss MDG with her Elantra, and she hasn't driven Genzilla in a while, what happens is she's so used to her throttle response on her car, she's used to putting her foot on that accelerator and getting the response, and it's a lot of a lag compared to what this is. So when she gets in this car, the minute she steps on it, it's razor sharp and she just slams us back. You know, that quick skill that you have to learn when you're transitioning in from a 4-cylinder car or maybe a V6 car compared to one of these V8s, it is a short-term skill that you have to pick up on, and then you learn other skills as far as feathering the throttle and doing things like that without losing control if you have traction control off. So with that being said, now when you step up to like a Hellcat, there's a little bit more of a learning of the throttle you have to do. It's not as bizarre when you're coming from like a 392, but if you are coming from something just completely 4-cylinder V6 and you just jump straight up to a Hellcat, you're gonna have a lot of learning to do. You may even have a couple of scares when you first get these cars if you think, you know, they won't just get away from you. You know, the thing is when I first got this 392 early on, you know, I had came from a V8, which was my Genesis V8, 375 horsepower machine as it was, also a ZF automatic transmission in that car, but nowhere near the power that, you know, and it's not really like it was that less of power, but it just seems like that because these cars just accelerate and they're so much more aggressive. But when I got this car and I would do things like take traction control off, like put this in sport mode and have traction control partially be off, you know, there's a couple of times when I was like, oh shit, like I almost lost it, you know, on a couple of just slamming on the accelerator to get the car up in a hurry. You got to be careful when you have a car like this. You cannot take this car for granted. You have to respect the power of this car. You have to respect the throttle, and you can't just jump in thinking that you can just slam on the accelerator. Even when you have traction control on street, it will still get away from you, especially in the colder months here in New York. You know, these are all things that you learn. Your tires harden up and you have less traction, and these cars have way more power than your average car. So you may slam on the accelerator in some other car and nothing will happen, but you do that same thing in this car in that same temperature with the same all-season tires, and it'll get squiggly on you. So once again, touching on that point about the Hellcat, you will step on this throttle as you can see it here, and just listen. Now I'm just in street mode. I barely tapped on it and I jumped up pretty quick with a gap that I had with this vehicle in front of me, you know, so that would be even more powerful in something like a Hellcat that is instant due to that supercharger. It is just like or close to a car with twin turbos. It's instant power as soon as you step on the accelerator, you know, and a lot of cars like this 392 will close on certain cars with a twin turbo with about the same horsepower, because these cars, these 392s have great closing power, so they will close on you in a heartbeat. You may get a car like this on the jump simply because you got a twin turbo, your car is lighter and this car is heavier, but you know, as you go down that line, these 392s will close on you in a big damn hurry. So is it a skill? I would say yes. I mean, it's pretty much like a skill when you are trying to learn to drive these cars, and I mean a 392 and up. So a 392 where you have pretty much respectable power, and anything above this, you kind of have to learn the throttle, and it does become a skill depending on the weather, the road, the tires you have, on how that car reacts, whether or not you lose control, whether or not traction control is on or off, based on your skill learning that throttle. So it's not like you're driving or learning how to drive a stick shift, which takes a lot longer. It takes a better skill, it takes a lot more skill, but you do have to relearn a throttle on a car like this, because it is no joke. And that is going to do it for this upload. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and until next time, ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna be a wrap.